Mu Yue traveled to the world of Hokage and became an ordinary ninja teacher at Kiba Ninja School, as well as a member of the Root organization. Fortunately, with the awakening of the teacher system, teaching can become stronger. In order not to become a consumable for the group collection, Mu Yue worked hard to teach and enhance her strength. Completing the teaching with a rating of A for the first time and receiving a reward. Mastery of Fire Attribute Chakra Property Changes. Under your guidance, Yuzhibo has been practicing hard to stop water, and his comprehensive strength has greatly improved. He has received a reward. Immortal Body. Under the guidance of Mu Yue, Ji Shui understood that the enemies of the village may not necessarily be from other great powers, but may also be within the village. People who speak the will of fire in a clear way may not necessarily act according to the will of fire. Dai Tu got rid of the title of Crane Tail at Ninja School, and Metkey became a master of physical arts earlier, P.S. There are high-quality Huiying old books with a total length of 21.78 million words, guaranteed quality, keywords of the novel. Ninja School Teacher, I can become stronger by teaching without pop-ups. Ninja School Teacher, I can become stronger by teaching. Download the complete text. Ninja School Teacher, I can become stronger by teaching. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Will of Fire. Fool the Will. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Will of Fire. Fool the Will. I didn't expect to be a teacher after graduation from normal school, but I became a teacher after graduation from normal school. Mu Yue felt a little helpless after sorting out her memory. He felt that he really had a deep connection with the word teacher. In high school, he was considered a good student in the art class, so many classmates would ask him for advice, and he was given the nickname Teacher Yu. Then, when he applied for college, he slipped all the way to a normal university, and at the suggestion of his family, he chose a relatively strong teacher education major. He then tutored his roommates in college and was given the nickname Teacher Yu. To everyone's surprise, when Mu Yue finally graduated, she rebelled and was directly admitted to the civil service instead of becoming a teacher. What he never expected was that on his first day at work, as soon as he walked into the office door, he quickly passed by and became the new teacher of the ninja school who had just entered the office. His current physical name is Mu Yue, and his name is still the same, but his surname is different. Ah, this is not a safe world. There are too many neurotic and paranoid individuals, and they are also very strong. Mu Yue sighed in her heart. He casually observed the office, which was not much different from the school office in his past life, but the sharp edges placed on the desk told him that this was no longer the peaceful country of his past life. What makes Mu Yue feel even more damn is that he not only has the status of a teacher, but also a ninja at the root. The original body was an orphan nurtured by the roots from a young age. The reason why he became a teacher at the ninja school was because of Tuanzang's command to observe and record the ninja school students, and to pay attention to whether there were geniuses appearing. Guiying's hands are not a good place. Just as Mu Yue was pondering how to survive in this dangerous world, an emotionless mechanical sound suddenly sounded in her mind, and a transparent blue panel suddenly appeared in front of her. Teacher system launched. Congratulations on successfully becoming a teacher. Teaching to students can earn rewards, and the better the student, the higher the reward can provide one. On .1 Teaching to outstanding students for their apprenticeship, and teachers can receive rewards for their increased disciple strength. P.S. Admissions must be approved by both parties and cannot be accepted unilaterally. Mu Yue studied the blue panel and now there are only two options on it, one is a personal template and the other is a master disciple. Mu Yue clicked on the personal panel. Name. Mu Yue. Age. 18, Chakra. 4,300, Skills. 3 Body Technique. Fire Escape Heohukyu Technique, Fire Escape Fengxian Fire Technique, Instant Body Technique, Wood Leaf Fluid Technique, Evaluation. The elite of Zhongren is a slightly greater cannon fodder in war, after reading some heart-wrenching reviews, Mu Yue silently closed her personal panel and clicked on the master-disciple option, possibly because she didn't have any disciples yet, so it was a blank space. The class bell that was waiting for Dingling rang, and Mu Yue remembered her first class, so she packed her things and walked towards the classroom. Although she is a new teacher, as there are not many teachers at ninja school now, Mu Yue has also become a homeroom teacher, leading a new class. Mu Yue looked at the class list and saw several acquaintances. There are 2 future wooden leaf door gods, Yusho Zaihongdu and Gangzi Taishin Yuechuan. When Mu Yue saw the name of Yuzhibwa Jishue, her eyes lit up. This was an extraordinary genius. Since teachers can receive rewards for increasing their strength as disciples, the more talented the disciples are, the better. Mu Yue adjusted her expression before entering the classroom and walked into the classroom with a sunny smile. The classroom design of Ninja School is somewhat unique, perhaps for the convenience of students in the back row to see clearly. The height of the student seats is row by row, increasing upwards. The arrival of Mu Yue plunged the previously noisy classroom into silence. After all, they are all children aged 5 or 6, and this is their first time going to school. Most people are both curious and respectful of the existence of ninja teachers. Of course, there are also some exceptions, such as a purple-haired girl sitting in the first row with a single ponytail, who casually said after Mu Yue came in, "Big brother, you look really beautiful. Are you our teacher?" Mu Yue nodded with a smile and replied, "That's right, this pretty little student. I will be your future homeroom teacher." Hee hee. The purple-haired little girl who was praised for her good looks suddenly felt that the blonde male teacher was a good person. Other students feel much more relaxed when they see the interaction between them. Although it is the first time to go to school, they have heard some relatives roast about the teacher's ferocity. Mu Yue walked quickly to the podium and wrote down her full name with chalk, then turned around and officially introduced herself. "My name is Yusheng Mu Yue, and from today on, I will be everyone's teacher. In the future, please give me more guidance." "Okay. Teacher, my name is Yusho Washing Red Bean." The purple-haired little girl responded first. With Red Bean taking the lead, others also responded to Mu Yue, and Jishue also responded accordingly. Mu Yue felt a bit disappointed in the motionless system. He thought he could use this method to recruit students and stop water. After all, he also acknowledged the teacher, but the card bug failed. Mu Yue did not express her inner emotions on her face. After everyone finished introducing her, she pressed her hand to signal everyone to calm down. "Before giving the lecture, I would like to ask everyone a question. Do you know how wood leaves come from?" The classroom suddenly became silent again, and everyone looked at each other, unsure of how to answer. Although Jishue, who has already received education from his clan, knows a little, he who does not like to show off will not take the initiative to answer unless named. "It's covered by people," Red Bean replied after thinking for a moment. "Indeed, it was built by humans, but what you need to know is who covered the wooden leaves and why they were built." Mu Yue did not deny Red Bean's words and continued to speak on top of Red Bean's words. Before the era of Nanamura, it was the Warring States period with constant wars. During that period, even children as old as you may have to pick up weapons to fight, and brutal wars could break out at any time. Speaking of this cruel history, Mu Yue's voice became low, directly presenting the harsh reality of the Warring States period to the students. Perhaps it is because children in the ninja world tend to mature earlier, or perhaps because this is a wooden leaf, many children feel the heaviness of it, and the atmosphere in the classroom has changed. At this moment, 2 families came forward, one is the Thousand-Handed clan and the other is the Uchiha clan. Mu Yue's tone changed slightly from low to passionate. I know, the first generation of the Fire Shadow Pillar Lord was surnamed Qiansho." When Mu Yue mentioned Qiansho, the students below immediately felt a sense of participation. They didn't know anything about the Warring States period, but Qiansho still knew it. Jishue heard that everyone was paying attention to Qiansho, but no one noticed Yuzhibo. He felt a little disappointed in his heart and didn't quite understand why they were all members of the Konoha founder ninja tribe. In order to protect the descendants of the family and prevent children from fighting with weapons in the future, the two clans worked together to create Kiba and attracted more ninja tribes to join, ultimately ending the Warring States period and giving rise to our current Kiba. Where the leaves of wood dance, fire also grows endlessly. The firelight will continue to illuminate the village and allow the new leaves to sprout. It is the selfless dedication of our predecessors who are not afraid of sacrifice that gives us what we are today, and the ninja school we are today. This spirit of selfless dedication is also the will of our woodleaf fire. After speaking, Mu Yue's expression was somewhat serious, as if she was still remembering her ancestors. He thought that Jishue would be interested in a teacher who is familiar with history and understands the will of fire. Did my come this way? Next time you pass by Huaying Rock, be sure to pay respects. I also want to become a fire will ninja in the future, protecting Kiba. The students below have already imagined the image of their ancestors fighting hard to save their lives, and they are all excited to learn from their predecessors. Jishue's eyes lit up, and he felt that the teacher seemed a bit special. He began to have more interest in the upcoming life at ninja school. Originally, he heard from his elders that his family had already taught at the ninja school and planned to graduate early and go to the police department to help. Now it seems that this is not entirely the case. Do you know how many types of chakra attributes there are? 5 types: water, soil, wind, thunder, and fire, the student from a ninja family quickly replied. Not entirely right, there are 7 types of chakra attributes. In addition to the 5 basic attribute changes of soil, water, wind, thunder, and fire, there are also 2 special attribute changes of yin and yang. Mu Yue corrected with a smile. This kind of questioning and then correcting can leave a deeper memory for students. Immediately after, Mu Yue began to tell the basic understanding of chakra, and occasionally told a funny joke to make the students laugh. Time passed quickly, and 4 classes passed in one fell swoop. When the bell rang for the end of class, Mu Yue stopped and smiled, saying, "After school, tomorrow we will talk about refining chakras." Mu Yue announced the end of class straightforwardly and gave a preview of the next class. When Mu Yue said that school was over, the students all froze for a moment and thought to themselves, didn't class just start? Why did school end? Upon careful recollection, it seemed like class had already ended 4 times. Just because of Mu Yue's guidance, they were serious and relaxed in class, so they didn't notice the passage of time. Refining chakra, so much anticipation. Red Bean couldn't wait to fast forward until tomorrow upon hearing Mu Yue's words. Her family members are not ninjas, so they did not have prior exposure to such knowledge. Isn't class very interesting? My cousin even lied to me that going to school is difficult and told my aunt about him stealing money to buy snacks when he went back. Gongzi Tai looked almost deceived with anger. It would be better if you could use this as a threat to have your cousin give you snacks, said Shinyu Chuyun next to her. Gongzi Tai instantly showed a sudden realization expression and patted Shinyu Chuyun's shoulder, praising. Brother, it's a good idea. If you succeed, you'll get half of the snacks. Ji Shui watched as Mu Yue was about to leave the classroom, and after thinking about it, she followed her over. Lecture completed, settlement made, evaluation. A. Utilizing the storytelling of predecessors to inspire students' sense of responsibility and enthusiasm, the lecture content is coherent and interactive, and student satisfaction is high. Reward settlement. Can I rely on novels to make a living? Let's just read this one. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. The Advantages of Orphans in the Beginning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. The Advantages of Orphans in the Beginning, Reward Obtained. Perceived Tolerance Method, First Time Completing Teaching, Receiving Reward. Appraisal Technique, Completed teaching with a rating of A for the first time and received a reward. Mastery of Fire Attribute Chakra Property Changes, obtaining 3 rewards directly at once surprised Mu Yue a bit. He felt that he suddenly had a lot of memories in his mind, the most of which was the memory of the fire attribute chakra nature change and cultivation. That memory was incredibly real, giving Mu Yue the illusion that she was an old ninja who specialized in fire escape for a lifetime. "Teacher Yushin, may I ask you some questions?" Jishue respectfully asked. Upon hearing the words of Jishue, Mu Yue, who was about to take a second look at the panel evaluation, stopped and took Jishue to the back of the unmanned teaching building. She then used her perception ninjutsu to sense it, but there was no particularly strong chakra aura. Mu Yue felt relieved and smiled, saying, "Did you not understand the part of the class? You can tell me." Jishue shook his head and said, "It's not the content of the lecture, but I have a question. Teacher, you know that the Thousand Hand clan and the Uchiha clan jointly created but why do people now only remember the Thousand Hand clan and rarely mention Uchiha's contributions?" Although he is a child, Jishue is particularly mature and sensitive. When he goes out with his elders, he can detect the strange gazes of pedestrians on the street when they see the ethnic emblem behind them. Although they are all heroes in building the village, why is Yuzhibo not only not praised for his contributions, but also seems to be disliked by the villagers? I don't quite understand waterproofing. Looking at the puzzled water stop, Mu Yue secretly said in her heart, "What's the reputation of Qian Shizu among the leaves, and what's the reputation of Yuzuboban in the leaves, can it be compared? You should have read only some of the history within the tribe, right?" Mu Yue asked. Jishue nodded, and now all he could come into contact with was the history given by Yuzhibo. The reason why it has become like this is because many things have happened, and it is difficult to explain them clearly in a short period of time. Mu Yue's face showed a hint of embarrassment. Seeing Mu Yue feeling a bit embarrassed, Jishue felt guilty in her heart. It seemed that the problem was more complicated than he had imagined. Initially, she wanted to say no, but unexpectedly, Mu Yue spoke up again. "Well, if you have time after school, come to me and I'll tell you about the history." Mu Yue sighed. "After all, I should be considered as owing you a favor to the Uchiha clan. Let's repay the favor." Jishue was a bit puzzled as to why Mu Yue owed them the favor of Yuzhibo, so he directly asked. "My parents were surrounded by enemies during a war and were saved by a ninja named Yukibo Jing. Although they eventually died in the subsequent war, I have always remembered this life-saving kindness," Mu Yue said gratefully. He was fortunate that he had already become an orphan, otherwise his playing space would have been much smaller. It must be admitted that sometimes dead people are more useful than living people. Jishue's eyes widened, and an incredible expression appeared on his face. Yuji Boeing was his grandfather, and he didn't expect to have such a connection with Mu Yue. He had a wonderful feeling. However, Jishue is not the kind of person who will try to repay kindness, so he didn't speak up and just thanked Mu Yue. Before Jishue left, Mu Yue conducted an appraisal for Jishue. Name: Yuzhibo Water Stop, Chakra. 500, Potential. SS. Evaluation. 6 bloodlines, suitable for practicing fire escape and illusion, with great potential, recommended for apprenticeship. As Mu Yue walked towards the office, she sighed and felt that she was truly a fierce person who could open her eyes and provide assistance. The 2 shining S were so dazzling that even the system recommended accepting apprentices. Mu Yue casually opened her own panel again to check if there were any changes in the evaluation. Name: Yushin Mu Yue, age 18, Chakra 4300, evaluation. Proficient in the changes in the properties of the fire attribute chakra, what limits your strength is your rare chakra. If you can make up for this deficiency, you can be called the elite of the upper ninja. It seems that the mastery of the changes in the properties of that fire attribute is even stronger than I imagined. Mu Yue felt that she might have underestimated the value of mastering those 2 words. After all, he is a person who only knows instant body technique, 3 body technique, and a little ordinary body technique except for 2 fire escapes. At this level, after receiving rewards, he can improve his chakra to reach the level of elite endurance. Elite tolerance, it must be at the level of Kakashi and asthma at the beginning of the plot. With a significant increase in strength, Mu Yue was originally very happy, but when she thought of her own identity, she couldn't be happy anymore. One reason is that he has a curse mark on his body, which makes him feel insecure. The other reason is that Tuanzang, the old Biden, likes to let his hands go down and give it away, making him feel even less secure. We need to quickly recruit some disciples and improve our strength as soon as possible. Even if we cannot reach the level of killing Tuanzang and leaving gracefully, we must have the ability to protect ourselves. Mu Yue set a short-term goal for herself. Mu Yue walks into the office and finds that there are 3 teachers, 2 men and 1 woman, roast about their students. They all know each other, because the teacher came early and had come to school before, so they got to know their colleagues. Mu Yue gave an appraisal by herself. Name: Chiguyong, Chakra. 2000, Potential. C. Evaluation. 1 Zhongren Cannon Fodder. All 3 teachers have similar data and have been identified by the system as cannon fodder. Alas, I'm really unlucky. How could Class 2 in 4 years fall into my hands? I already had a Class 1 in 3 years with me. Let me teach. How can I teach this? 1 Metkey, 1 Yukibo with soil, 2 major cranes, all in Class 2 of 4 years. Ikiyoshi reluctantly spread out his hand. My family even arranged a blind date for me, asking me to meet them tomorrow afternoon. That afternoon, there happened to be a class in Class 2 of 4 years. Find a teacher who doesn't have classes to help, or take a leave directly, or is blind date important, suggested Ueda Kai. At this moment, Ueda Kai noticed Mu Yue entering and greeted her with a smile, saying, "Teacher Yushin, how did you feel during your first class? Did the little techniques I taught before work?" Mu Yue recalled that the enthusiastic female teacher was worried that as a new teacher, he would become nervous for the first time, causing him to silently recite that everything was just carrots and cabbage during his lecture. Mu Yue politely replied, "Thank you. The tips are very useful, but after class, the students advised me not to be picky about food." Teacher Yushin, you're really interesting. Ueda Kai smiled and felt that Mu Yue was still in the mood to joke, which should have been a comfortable first time. "Teacher Chigu, I won't have class tomorrow afternoon. If necessary, I can help you replace it." Mu Yue put the lesson plan on her desk and asked with a friendly expression. Unlike other teachers, Mu Yue wished she had full classes every day, and there were also Dai 2 and Maitakai in Class 2 of 4 years, so she had to take a closer look. Chiguyong showed a joyful expression on his face, quickly thanked him, and said that if there was a chance, he would definitely invite Mu Yue to dinner. In the Hokage office, the 3rd generation Hokage monkey Flying Sun / looked at Mu Yue, who was serious about the will of fire, inside the crystal ball. He touched her goatee and felt that the young man at the base was quite good, a person who understood the will of fire. Tuanzang thought he was hiding well, but in reality, a portion of the ninjas were cultivated by the roots, but those who did not make it to the root list have already been known by the 3rd generation. It's just that the 3rd generation thinks that Tuanzang is also cultivating strength for Konoha, and if it's not too much, it's okay. However, the ninja school is still highly valued by the 3rd generation, so I personally took a look. Surprisingly, the first class taught by this root ninja was about the will of fire, which helped students establish a sense of responsibility. This made the 3rd generation feel very good. Let's take a look at his future performance. If he's considered a talent, let him break free from the roots. Mu Yue's current performance alone is not enough to allow the 3rd generation to compete with the important figures in the group. Although it is essentially his own, it is still necessary to take care of the emotions of his old classmates. Thinking that these 3 generations have stopped the art of telescopes, started processing documents, and are preparing to wait until evening to inspect the leaves of wood. After finishing the meal, Jishue started searching for Mu Yue's residence according to the location given by Mu Yue. Mu Yue's residence is located in the southeast of the sparsely populated area with wooden leaves, which can be considered a remote area of wooden leaves and is relatively far from the main urban area. Thanks to the relatively few buildings here, Jishue quickly found Mu Yue's home, a single-story wooden house located in a simple courtyard. As soon as Jishue entered the yard, he saw a scene that left him stunned and mentally shaken. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Teacher Mu Yue is a good person. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Teacher Mu Yue is a good person. After returning home, Mu Yue went to the bathroom and stuck out her tongue in front of the mirror. As expected by Mu Yue, there is a black curse mark on the tongue, which is a necessary tongue curse seal for every root member. If Mu Yue remembers correctly, the effect of this curse seal is that as long as she says something related to a specific matter, she will be completely paralyzed and unable to move. The curse seal set by Tuanzang naturally includes information about him and his roots, so even if members of the organization are captured or defected, they cannot be leaked. If that's all, it's okay. He didn't intend to leak any information about the root to anyone, but Mu Yue was worried that this curse seal could be actively controlled by Tuanzai, which would be equivalent to a fatal weakness being controlled. Mu Yue pondered carefully and tried to find a way to crack the root of the tongue curse from the original work. It seems that there is no other good way besides Tuanzang's death. But after much thought, Mu Yue realized that no one had cracked this spell seal in the original work. The person who had to leave from the root for the third generation may have been ordered to be lifted by the third generation, while the rest could only be hidden and died, and the spell seal would automatically become invalid. But Tuanzang is not the crispy ad in MOBA games, and even if you play Tuanzang, you don't have to worry about yourself and he will die suddenly. Mu Yue thought about her current strength and temporarily gave up the idea of killing Tuanzang. I can only go find Orochimaru or study it myself. Mu Yue realized that at this moment, she had only two choices. Actually, it can only be considered as one choice, because the line of Orochimaru cannot be connected at the moment. Mu Yue glanced at the time and felt that it was almost there, so she activated the perception ninjutsu and sensed the approaching water stop. Mu Yue walked out and into the hospital. Xindao Tuanzang still trusted the original owner quite a bit. He used perception ninjutsu many times, but did not perceive the root ninjas monitoring him. When it was almost time for Jishue to walk in, Mu Yue quickly formed a seal and burst into a chakra, instantly creating a huge 8-meter-high fireball that turned the training wooden figures in the courtyard into ashes, while also causing a large piece of ground to turn into a scorched ground. Just as I walked into the courtyard to stop the water, I happened to see this shocking scene and was shocked by Mu Yue's fire escape skills. Although Hokage is only a C-level fire escape ninjutsu, the ninjutsu level is determined by the difficulty of ninjutsu cultivation, and many Uchiha Yujins love to use Hokage. But the water stop is very certain, even the members of their own family who use the Haohua fireball will definitely not have such power, because they cannot convert a large number of chakras into flames in such a short time. Teacher Yusheng, I'm sorry to bother you with your cultivation. Jishue, who had come to his senses, quickly apologized. It's okay, I just happened to end it. Mu Yue took a deep breath and smiled as she invited Jishue into the room. In fact, Yuzhibo's current situation is closely related to your former clan leader Yuzhibo Ban. Mu Yue poured 2 cups of water, handed one to Jishue, and held the other in her hand, beginning to tell Yuzhibo's story. You should know that Uchiha has defected, right? Jishue nodded and said, the history of the tribe says that the clan leader left Mu Yue. If it's really just about leaving, then it wouldn't be like this, Mu Yue told Jishue. If it weren't for the strong strength between the pillars back then, the wooden leaves might have been destroyed by Uchiha. Jishue fell into silence. But Mu Yue told Jishue that the matter is far from over. This incident has made the second-generation Hokage Kazuma, who already disliked Uchiha, even more wary of Uchiha. Therefore, after becoming Hokage, many policies were formulated specifically to govern Uchiha. And these policies also caused dissatisfaction among the Uchiha Hawks, leading to the idea of using force to seize power, which was eventually discovered by the secret forces and imprisoned. These series of events eventually led to Yuzhibo's negative reputation gradually covering his previous credit and being disliked by the villagers. Have so many things happened before? Jishui realized that he had thought things too simply. In fact, there are also Yuzhibo who are working hard to change this situation. For example, Yuzhibo Mirror is the most successful existence among them. Mu Yue brought the topic to Yuzhibo Mirror. Teacher Yusheng, what kind of person do you think Yuzhiboing is? Jishui suddenly became curious about the image of his grandfather on Mu Yue's side. He had never seen his grandfather with his own eyes, but he had heard a lot from other tribes, such as powerful and talented ninjas. A Uchiha with the will to catch fire transformed himself into a bridge, connecting Uchiha and Kiba to ease the conflict between the two sides. Mu Yue thought for a moment and said. Although there were no boastful words in Mu Yue's words, it was the best and most appropriate evaluation that Jishui believed she had heard so far. I also want to become the same Uchiha as my grandfather. Jishui's gaze was firm, but he didn't realize that he called his grandfather directly. Grandfather. Mu Yue looked at Jishui with some confusion. Jishui only then realized his own slip of the tongue. He just didn't want to take advantage of the situation and didn't feel guilty, so he admitted it directly. Teacher Yusheng, you don't have to worry too much about so-called kindness. If you have time, go to my grandfather's grave to pay respects. I think he should be very happy, said Jishui. How could I not repay the kindness of saving my father and mother? How about this? Would you be willing to become my disciple, Jishui? Mu Yue asked. Jishui understood what Mu Yue meant, and he felt that this was too detrimental to her. But he didn't want to see Mu Yue, a kind-hearted person who wanted to repay her kindness, make things difficult. In addition, Jishui felt that becoming a disciple of a knowledgeable and powerful teacher like Mu Yue was indeed good. In the end, Jishui nodded and shouted, Teacher Mu Yue. Whether to establish a master-apprentice relationship with Yuzhibo Water stop the system pop-up window came out immediately, and Mu Yue didn't hesitate to choose yes. This was the genius disciple he had finally fooled. Relationship established successfully, current trust level 2, unlock, apprentice cultivation return to teacher, and apprenticeship return. Mu Yue took a glance at the introduction and was instantly pleasantly surprised. Returning to the master as a disciple means that his disciple's cultivation becomes stronger, and he will also become stronger. The higher the trust, the more feedback he receives. The second level of trust is a double return, with a slight increase in chakra for stopping water. He can add 2 points. Apprentice return is when he sends a water stop item, and the system will randomly give him a reward. The higher the trust level, the better the reward, limited to once a day. After thinking for a moment, Mu Yue took out a booklet and handed it to Jishui. There is the fire attribute chakra nature change training manual he wrote in the afternoon. Originally, he was planning to find a suitable time to give it to the water-stopping brush wave, but now he wants to try the function of returning disciples. This is my own summary of the Fire Attribute Chakra Nature Change Cultivation Manual. Take it back and read it. I will regularly check your cultivation achievements. As a teacher, I am very strict and will not relax requirements just because of kindness. Mu Yue said seriously. Water stopping becomes stronger, but he can double it. Mu Yue feels that she needs to supervise the practice of water stopping well. Thank you, Teacher Mu Yue. I will practice diligently. Taking the booklet given by Mu Yue, Jishui expressed his sincere gratitude. For Mu Yue's strict requirements, Jishui didn't think there was any problem, but rather proved that Mu Yue really treated him as a disciple, rather than purely as a reward for his grandfather's kindness. You have presented the disciple's nature change cultivation manual as a gift. As the disciple is very grateful for the reward of critical strikes, they have obtained a ninjutsu fire escape dragon fire art, mature level. At the moment of receiving the reward, Mu Yue's mind had a long memory of him practicing the technique of dragon fire, as if he had already practiced this ninja technique thousands of times. The art of dragon fire is a B. level fire escape ninja. Compared to the ball of fire, dragon fire does not focus on range, but rather on flexibility. It can freely control fire dragons to attack enemies. After mastering it proficiently, it can simplify the seal into one and release multiple fire dragons at the same time. Due to the system providing a level of proficiency, Mu Yue only needs to seal one seal to instantly release 3 fire dragons. Mu Yue's gaze at Jishue was no longer focused on people, it was an endless gold mine that could explode gold coins every day. Mu Yue noticed that it was gradually getting dark outside, so she said, "It's getting late too. I'll take you home, don't let your family worry." "Thank you, teacher. I'll walk back slowly on my own. I'm the only one at home now," Jishue waved his hand and said. He felt that he had already caused a lot of trouble for Mu Yue today and didn't want to waste her time anymore. Upon hearing Jishue's words, Mu Yue remembered that Jishue's parents seemed to have never appeared before, and it was likely that they died shortly after giving birth to Jishue. He just realized that their master and apprentice couldn't even come up with a parent, which was absolutely unacceptable. "But my uncle often comes to take care of me," explained Jishue, afraid that Mu Yue might worry. Mu Yue nodded and did not force a gift. Today was just the first day he met with Jishue, and there were still many opportunities to build a good impression in the future. On the way home, Jishue flipped through the cultivation booklet given to him by Mu Yue, and then recalled the fire escape ninjutsu he saw when he entered the yard. He became more curious about Mu Yue. As a famous prodigy in the clan, coupled with his grandfather being Uchiha Jing, Jishue has had contact with many Uchiha powerhouses, and his vision far exceeds that of other peers. He felt that Mu Yue's strength should not be a mediocre ninja, and it was strange to be a teacher at a ninja school. Ninja schools don't need such strong teachers, and ninjutsu only teaches 3 body techniques. Mu Yue watched as Jishue gradually faded away, and her heart became increasingly hopeful for tomorrow. He will have classes tomorrow morning and afternoon, and I don't know what rewards he can get. And in the afternoon, it's still Metkey leading their class. What level of potential will the two of them have? End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Metkey and the Potential of Soil. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Metkey in the Potential of Soil. Brother, how is the situation? Not good. My despicable cousin actually threatened me that if I told him about it, he would tell my neighbor Meihui about my bedwetting at the age of 3. Ganzi Tai gritted his teeth and scolded his cousin's wrongdoing. How could their affairs involve the neighbor's Xiao Meihui and ruin his glorious image? It's truly despicable. I have a plan, taking advantage of my still young age and using play as an excuse, to go to your cousin's house and mess up his room. Although it was you who messed it up, if you didn't clean it up in time, it would definitely be your cousin who was unlucky in the end. How dare he be arrogant after coming a few times like this? After thinking for a moment, Shen came up with another clever plan. Ganzi Tai's eyes immediately lit up, indicating that with the advice of Brother Chuyun, he would be as invincible as the first-generation Hokage with the advice of Brother Chuyun. If he could succeed, he would definitely treat him to snacks. As soon as Mu Yue walked into the classroom, she heard the conversation between the Wulong and Phoenix chicks, and couldn't help but smile. Let's start the class. Mu Yue walked to the podium and started the class directly. Chakra is the prerequisite for us to activate ninjutsu, produced by the combination of physical energy and mental abilities. Most of the students in the audience listen attentively, as this is the most important foundation. While explaining, Mu Yue occasionally personally releases chakra to make everyone feel it. During the teaching process, she also tries to intersperse short stories and jokes to make the class less boring, supplemented by questioning to deepen memory. For classes were about to finish soon, and as the class was nearing its end, Mu Yue gave her an appraisal as she looked at Red Bean, who was smiling and constantly asking questions. Name. Yusho washed Red Bean, potential. A. Mu Yue thought for a moment and gave an appraisal to all the students in the classroom. Name. Ganzi Tai, potential. B. Name. Shenhue Chuyun, potential. B. Mu Yue was surprised to find that, except for the water stop, there were only 4 students in the entire classroom who reached B or above. Apart from Red Bean and the 3 of them, only one student he didn't remember was also A B, and the rest were all C. There were even better C plus worse C, and even D students. Looking at it this way, the talent for stopping water is too strong, and it directly casts a shadow on others. The potential of Red Bean was also a bit unexpected for Mu Yue. He remembered that Red Bean's original work was not very strong, but the identified potential was several levels higher than the 2 door gods. However, Mu Yue currently has no intention of accepting Red Bean as an apprentice. He cannot accept disciples without restrictions. Currently, there are only 4 apprentices available, one of which has been occupied by Jishui, leaving only 3. Although lowly Hongdo is very cute, Mu Yue said that he is still handsome. What's the use of it? Will Tuanzang let him take root because of it? Obviously not. Lecture completed, settlement made, evaluation. A. Reward. Multi-shadow clone technique. This ninjutsu is quite good, but unfortunately it doesn't have a significant impact on me right now, Mu Yue thought to herself. As the protagonist Naruto uses ninjutsu from start to finish, multiple shadow clones are naturally a very practical ninjutsu. If you have enough chakras, it is very useful for both combat and cultivation. Unfortunately, Mu Yue's current weakness is chakra, so there's nothing she can do. After finishing their meal and entering the office, several teachers were giving advice to Chi Tanyong, who was about to go on a blind date. A tall and thin male teacher reminded. Before meeting, make sure to tidy up well, dress formally, and don't make people think you are a messy person. Shanren, you're looking down on me now. Although I haven't been in a relationship before, that's common sense, right? Replied Chi Tanyong confidently. I think the most important thing you need to pay attention to is not to talk big like that during conversations, said Ueda Kai, shaking her head as if she had already foreseen the final outcome. Ueda, just wait and see. Yuki Ikeda let go of his harsh words when he saw that Ueda Kai was looking down on him. I'll wait and see. Ueda Kai responded perfunctorily, noticing that Mu Yue had come in and immediately spoke to her. Hello, Teacher Yushin. You're amazing. When I passed by your class today, I took a look and felt that the atmosphere was very good. I can't believe it's your first time being a teacher. Mu Yue shook her head and said humbly, it's all because your experience is useful, and the students are obedient. Although she knew it was a humble remark, there was no one who didn't like to be praised. Ueda Kai's face showed a smile, and she shared some of her snacks with Mu Yue. Upon seeing this, Chi Guyong immediately felt what it meant to be treated differently. He and Ueda Kai had been colleagues for 2 years and had not eaten her snacks a few times. In his heart, he roast about Shangtian Kai. Chi Guyong also quickly said hello to Mu Yue. If he succeeds this time, Mu Yue will remember his kindness as a substitute for the class for the rest of his life. Mu Yue responded to everyone with a smile, chatted a few words, and then picked up the pre-prepared pen and ink to start practicing calligraphy. Practicing calligraphy in his spare time was one of his few good habits in his past life, which he developed after taking calligraphy classes in college. Ninja School has a relatively short lunch time and doesn't have time to find a place to practice. When it felt like class was about to start, Mu Yue tidied up and went to the classroom to prepare for class. Dingling bell. When the bell rang, Mu Yue also happened to enter the classroom of Class 2, Grade 4. Hey, isn't this afternoon teacher Chi Gu's history of wooden leaves? A student asked when they saw that it wasn't Chi Gu Yong who walked in. Teacher Chi-gu has something to attend this afternoon, and I will be taking the class this afternoon, Mu Yue explained as she walked up to the podium. As soon as Mu Yue finished speaking, a hurried figure rushed into the classroom. I'm sorry, teacher. I met an old lady on the way and helped me out, which is why I was late. Dai Tu explained, panting heavily with her hands on her knees. Sit down and listen to the class, Mu Yue nodded and then glanced at the students and evaluated them all. Name. Yi Yuanlin, Chakra. 300, Potential. B+. Name. Metkey, Chakra. 600, Potential. S. Evaluation. Suitable for cultivating physical skills, recommended for apprenticeship. Name. Yujibwa Daitu, Chakra. 650, Potential. S. Evaluation. 6 bloodlines, sometimes spatial talent, recommended for apprenticeship. Class 2 in 4 years is also similar to his Class 1 in 1 year. Apart from these 3 acquaintances, only one Yuzibo Iron Fire has A.level potential, while the others are basically C.level and D.level. After reading about her talents, Mu Yue asked about their class progress and began teaching. For students who are accustomed to teaching by rote, teachers like Mu Yue surprise them unexpectedly. Dai Tu said directly, Teacher Mu Yue, you spoke so well, much better than other teachers. If you were to teach in the future, I would definitely pass. I will tell Teacher Ikabuki, along with your lateness, Mu Yue said with a smile. He is different from other teachers at ninja school, as he has learned how to be a teacher in the system. Dai Tu's face immediately showed a bitter expression and he quickly begged for mercy. Chi Gu Yong was their homeroom teacher. The previous and subsequent behavior of carrying soil added a touch of joy to the class. During the break, Mu Yue activated her perception ninjutsu and after confirming that there were no issues, she called out Metkey and Daitu. There is still 1 chapter in the evening, but the time has not been determined yet. You can read it tomorrow, end of this chapter. Chapter 5. Exam Secrets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Exam Secrets. Teacher Yushin, please don't tell Teacher Ikabuki, Daitu continued pleading with Mu Yue without giving up. It depends on your performance, Mu Yue said with a smile, without giving a specific response. Teacher, is there something wrong? Metkey scratched his head and couldn't understand why he was called out, but he didn't make any mistakes. Mu Yue looked at Metkey, who almost kicked the ending and was known by Ban as the strongest in physical skills. He was still very young. Although I have already put on the iconic green tight-fitting suit, not only my strength, but also my beliefs are still far from satisfactory. At this time, although Metkey also believed that his daily exercise would definitely make him a physical fitness powerhouse, he had not fully understood his father's words about youth and self-restraint. He still needed to grow, and Mu Yue was willing to help during this period. Your theoretical grades are very troubling for Teacher Chigu, Mu Yue said. Upon hearing Mu Yue's words, even someone as kind-hearted as Daitu felt embarrassed and lowered her head. It's not that I don't want to learn, but the questions are too difficult to understand. Why do we keep those animals together and count them as several each? Tu tried to argue. Seeing the appearance of Daitu, Mu Yue recalled her time in high school liver mathematics, and could only say that fortunately his major did not require studying advanced mathematics. However, Mu Yue knew that it was actually a problem with dirt, because the math taught at ninja school was the simplest kind, with relatively few courses and less history. But it's not just math that you're inferior to. You're not good at history, ninjutsu theory, etc. Mu Yue shook her head and said. What's the use of knowing that history? Isn't it all in the past? Daitu felt that the history class should be cancelled. Maybe you can still use it when buying groceries in mathematics. What's the use of history? I think so too. Metkey nodded as if he couldn't really memorize those histories. You have to tell the 3rd-generation adults that he is the principal of the ninja school. Mu Yue said that what he said in this regard is not worth it. But it's not a solution for you to continue like this, whether it's for teacher Ikabuki or for you. Do you have any exam secrets, teacher Yushin? Dai Tu looked at Mu Yue with an expectant expression. Metkey also looked at Mu Yue excitedly. If it weren't for her lack of knowledge, who would want to be the tail of the crane? Indeed, it is the secret of exams, that is to brush the questions while reading. Mu Yue revealed her secret. With the intensity of the ninja school exam, he only needs to show a little bit of past exam experience to easily pass, because the ninja school exam is considered a pass if there is only half of the class average score. Brush the question. The two of them looked confused and didn't quite understand. You can consider this as a special training for exams, and if you pass the exam, I will have a reward, Mu Yue smiled and said. What reward? A dumpling asked Tu curiously. I can teach you ninjutsu or physical skills, and in short, I can guide you in your cultivation, Mu Yue replied. Really? The two of them widened their eyes, unable to believe that such a good thing had descended from the sky. The premise is that you can pass the exam 1 month later, Mu Yue reminded. Is this youth? I'm ignited. Metkey was a little excited. I'm sure I'll pass this time. Dai Tu made a promise. Looking at the two people who had already been mobilized, Mu Yue nodded inwardly, as advanced hunters often appeared as prey. They both felt that they had made a lot of money, obtained the secret to passing the exam, and received rewards for cultivation and guidance. And Mu Yue only needs to naturally become their teacher during the special training process to earn Ma. Even if the two of them still fail in the end, it's okay. Mu Yue can say that she feels sorry for your hard work and not giving any rewards. Maybe she can still create a good impression. The reason why it's not like fooling the apprentices like with Jishui is that the background is not suitable and it's not easy to talk about gratitude. Secondly, Mu Yue only comes to teach once and cannot maintain long-term contact. If he were the homeroom teacher, it would be easy to operate. After finalizing the special training with the two, Mu Yue took them back to the class. Dai Tu, what did teacher Yushin ask you to go out and do? Didn't she punish you, did she? Yi Yuanlin asked with some concern. How could it be punishment? Teacher Yushin is so kind, teach me the secret to the exam. Dai Tu immediately corrected Mu Yue's name. As long as Mu Yue can help him get rid of the title of Crane Tail, Dai Tu can become the first month of ninja school. Lin, please listen carefully to the class and don't let me overtake you in the next exam, chuckled Dai Tu. If only you could really surpass me, said Yara Lin with a helpless smile as she looked at Tetsu. Although she couldn't win first place, she still ranked among the top. After the class bell rang, Dai Tu showed an unprecedented level of seriousness. This time, he must pass, and he has already started researching what kind of ninjutsu to learn. Upon seeing this scene, Yi Yuanlin was somewhat surprised and thought to herself, was this time bringing dirt serious? 3 minutes later, looking at Dado lying on the table, Noera Lin could only say that Dado was still the familiar one she knew. At this moment, a chalk tip crossed a beautiful parabola and hit the soil head. Dai Tu looked around with a bewildered expression, saw Mu Yue's face, saw Yi Yuanlin's face, saw Metkey writing vigorously, and thought of what he had said 3 minutes ago. His face turned slightly rosy and he lost his drowsiness. After the little episode of sleeping with soil, the rest of the classes were taught smoothly. Lecture completed, evaluation. A. Reward. Woodleaf Whirlwind, this reward is not for ninjutsu, but for physical skills, and it will be developed by Metkey in the future. This physical technique may seem simple, just kicking, but Mu Yue, who has initially learned it, found that it is not as simple as she imagined. The leg posture, muscle burst, and chakra burst all require skills. Mu Yue was worried that he wouldn't have much to teach Kai, so he was very satisfied with this reward. After school, Mu Yue wandered in the forest south of Mai, searching for a place suitable for cultivation. He ultimately has a deeper identity, and his family's location, Tuanzai, must be known. With Tuanzang's level of disgust towards Yuzhibo, he learned that Mu Yue taught water-stopping ninjutsu without reporting, which made him suspect that Mu Yue had defected. Although there is perception ninjutsu, it can't be kept on all the time, and Chakra doesn't support it either. So Mu Yue is preparing to practice outside with Ji Shui. Finally, Mu Yue discovered a small river with a good and remote environment, suitable for cultivation. Mu Yue took note of this location and went home. The fact proved that Mu Yue's caution was not in vain. After entering the courtyard, he found a ninja wearing an animal mask standing inside. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Sick Collections. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Sick Collections, Night. This is the latest instruction from Lord Tuanzang. The root organization ninjas handed Mu Yue a scroll. Mu Yue nodded and took the scroll. Night was his code name in the roots. The two did not have much communication, and after the root organization ninjas handed the scroll to Mu Yue's hand, they quickly dodged and left. Mu Yue was considered a hidden chess piece of the root, and it was not good if the dark side discovered too much contact. Before the departure of the root organization ninja, Mu Yue gave an appraisal. Name: Ping Shui Sei, Potential. B. Chakra. 7,000, Evaluation. Shanren with some strength, looking at Shakramayu, who was as tall as 7,000, I couldn't help but feel a little envious. He didn't even have 5,000, and was 5 or 6 years behind him in stopping water. After perceiving that ninjutsu could no longer perceive the root organization ninja, Mu Yue walked into the room and opened the scroll to check what the latest command Tuanzang had issued. Yuzhibo Jishui in your class is a genius of the Yuzhibo clan. Pay attention to his actions, confirm his personality, and evaluate him. After reading it, Mu Yue felt a little emotional. Tuanzang's fear of Yuzhibo was really close to pathological. Jishui is only 6 years old this year and has just started ninja school. Just like this child, just because he has some genius in the clan, Tuanzang asked him to pay attention to and evaluate him. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that Tuanzang has ideas about stopping water and wants to pull it to the root. However, Mu Yue doesn't think it's enough if Tuanzang's idea can be realized. The third generation will let Tuanzang know who is Huiying. The third generation can tolerate the existence of a root organization, but cannot tolerate the existence of an overly powerful root organization. The upper limit of a genius Uchiha is too high, heaven knows how far he can grow. So the genius Uchiha either stays in the Uchiha clan honestly or joins the dark side. After reading it, Mu Yue used Huadun to destroy the scroll. This new instruction is still within the scope of Mu Yue's acceptance. In fact, even if Tuanzang does not send anyone specifically, Mu Yue will still report on the fact that Jishui is a genius. Because Mu Yue felt that concealing Tuanzang's attention to Yuzhibo was meaningless and would only lead the fire to him. Mu Yue separated a shadow clone to practice ninjutsu, while his body began to enhance the cultivation of chakra. At present, chakra is his biggest weakness. Even if he learns more ninjutsu and is proficient, it is difficult to exert his power without enough chakra. No matter how strong a ninja is, the strength of a chakra-less ninja is limited, and no matter how weak a chakra-more ninja is, it can be said that chakra determines the upper and lower limits of a ninja. The next day. Because there was no class for him this morning, Mu Yue took advantage of this time to come to the reference room of Ren School. He had to sort out the papers for the 4th grade exams in the past few years, and due to the smooth process, he easily found the ones for the 1st grade as well. His main purpose is to recruit apprentices, but improving their theoretical performance is not an exaggeration. Mu Yue has studied and found that the questions in the exam every year are not much worse. Each question is of a different type. With a different statement or data, some papers simply have the same questions. Mu Yue nodded, confident that the 2 of them had passed. He felt that there was no need to practice the questions, so he casually asked the two of them to do the papers from the previous 2 years. Passing should not be a problem. After taking a few papers, Mu Yue left the reference room and went to the office. She was listening to me all day yesterday, obviously very interested in me. Is there a possibility that she simply doesn't want to talk to you? When she paid yesterday, she even took the initiative to ask for an equal share, and she was already thinking about me. Is there a possibility that she's afraid you'll use the excuse of treating each other once to make another appointment? As soon as Mu Yue entered the office, she saw Ueda Kai attacking Chi Gu-yong. Mu Yue looked at Kimura Sugimoto, who was watching a play next to her. Didn't Yong go on a blind date yesterday? Just now he was talking about his blind date process and wanted us to help come up with some ideas for chasing people, but Ueda felt that his blind date was not interesting to him and advised him to find the next one. Kimura Sugiyama briefly introduced the cause and process of the incident. Teacher Yushin, you're here at the right time. Do you have any special skills for chasing girls? Yuki Ikeda asked when he saw Mu Yue's arrival and didn't care about arguing with Ueda Kai. He thinks Mu Yue looks very similar to someone who has many girlfriends. A special skill, I think as long as you make the other person feel your sincerity, it should be enough, Mu Yue thought for a moment and said. Do you have any skills? As for Mu Yue, she won't tell Chi Gaiyong either. That's not what his character should be like. Sincerely. Chi Gu-yong showed a troubled expression, wondering how to make the other person feel this. Give up, Chi Gu. If you don't see what Teacher Yushin looks like, his useful skills may not necessarily be useful to you, said Ueda Kaiyu. How could it be? I admit that Teacher Yushin is a bit more handsome than me, but it's not that much worse, is it? Chi Gu-yong said defiantly. You really don't hit the wall and don't look back, said Ueda Kai with a headache as she looked at Chi Tanyong with a stubborn expression on his face. She is a woman herself, don't she still understand women? After listening to Chi Gu-yong's words, she knew that this blind date was for free, but Chi Gu-yong refused to believe it. Come on, Mu Yue smiled and encouraged. What else could he say? As a friend, Ueda Kai couldn't even persuade him. Moreover, Mu Yue did hope that Ikabuki could be more busy, so that he could go to class 2 for the 4th year as a substitute. Teacher Mu Yue still has vision, so just wait and see for Ueda. Encouraged by Mu Yue, Yuki Ikeda's confidence grew even stronger. During the afternoon class, Mu Yue made a small attempt and deliberately lowered the quality of the lecture. He inferred from the previous system comments that the evaluation of the lecture should be divided into 2 main parts. One is the quality of the lecture content, and the other is student satisfaction. He wants to receive a B.level evaluation because there is an additional reward when he first receives an A. By the same token, there should also be additional rewards for receiving a B rating for the first time. Lecture completed, currently settling accounts, evaluation. B. Reward. Chakra plus 20, completing teaching with a rating of B for the first time and receiving a reward. Proficiently mastering the changes in chakra form, Mu Yue's mind instantly had a large number of memories of his cultivation of chakra form changes. Mu Yue was pleasantly surprised. In the chakra system, changes in form and properties coexist, and both sides can effectively strengthen ninjutsu. Although the transformation of form only requires proficiency and does not reach mastery, it is not limited to chakra attributes. When it comes to form changes, it's hard not to mention Naruto's spiral pills that are rubbed from head to tail. Spiral pills can be considered as the representative of form changes in ninjutsu, and they have tremendous power without the need for property changes. We can start developing spiral pills now. Mu Yue is preparing to develop this useful A.level invincible ninjutsu on her own, which has a detailed cultivation process in the original work, and with his knowledge of form changes, the process should not be too difficult. The B.level evaluation given to Chakra also gave Mu Yue an extra layer of consideration for future classes. She thinks that she can brush some B.level evaluations appropriately in the future. Not many are given at once, but little makes a lot. Adding the development of spiral pills to her schedule, Mu Yue found that her life is really fulfilling now. I usually have classes during the day, teach water stopping in the evening, practice and develop ninjutsu on my own at night, and do special training for Metkey and Daitu on weekends. My schedule is full. Mu Yue really wants to maintain such a peaceful life and develop steadily for a few years. Unfortunately, he didn't travel to the right time, and it was destined to be difficult for him to enjoy quiet days. On the fourth day when Mu Yue passed through the tolerance world, a bad news came back to Mai from the front. There is still one chapter after 8 o'clock, end of this chapter. Chapter 7. The Clouds of War. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The Clouds of War. The frontline friction escalated and conflicts broke out. Yunin dispatched ninja troops to enter the Tang Kingdom, which borders the Fire Kingdom, and it is suspected that the figure of the eight-tailed pillar force appeared. When Mu Yue heard these news, she knew that the Third Ninja World War was not far away. Or rather, it has already begun, but it has not yet fully erupted. As a root ninja, the original body knows that there are still more than ordinary ninjas. Since Bai Ye committed suicide the previous year, the ninja realm has been surging with undercurrents, whether it is Yunin, Yen-in, or Sha-in, they are all eager to stir up. Mu Yue is just watching anime, and he just feels that Bai Ye is no different from other famous and powerful people. But it was only after he accepted the memory of the original owner that he understood the value of the title White Fang. Others become famous by drawing or defeating a well-known powerhouse, but Bai Ye is different. He becomes famous because of killing, with extremely high killing efficiency. Holding a Chakra short sword, you transform into a ruthless lawn mower directly on the battlefield. Whether you are holding it down or holding it up, the white light flashes and it's done for. It's not that Bai Ye's strength has surpassed everyone and is the strongest in the ninja world, but his combat style is particularly suitable for abusing vegetables. As long as he is weaker than him, it is easy to be instantly killed by him. Seeing Mu Yue lose such a fierce general, other ninja villages will naturally covet him. Especially in Yunin village and Yenin village, because these two ninja villages suffered minimal losses during the Second Ninja World War, they have now developed the ability to challenge themselves to the top. Those despicable Yunin ninjas, can't they be a little calm? They feel like they're going to war again, sighed Ueda Kai. If Lord White Fang were still here, they wouldn't dare to be so arrogant, said Chi Gaiong with some displeasure. It's okay, we still have 3 generations of adults and Orochimaru, they will definitely win like before. Kimura Sujuman wanted to liven up the atmosphere. If there is a war, will our teachers also receive combat missions? Mu Yue asked her most concerned question. He doesn't want to leave the ninja school, although he can't become stronger by practicing himself, there's no way he can enjoy cheating. Judging from the intensity of the war, if it's really too intense, some teachers may be assigned to various units according to their specialties, Ueda Kai replied. Upon hearing Ueda Kai's words, Mu Yue could only pray to God Daozu in her heart, hoping to draw him later or not at all. Because the Third Ninja World War, Kiba can be said to have fought against the other 4 major ninja villages, it can be said that it was extremely intense, and he will definitely not let go of the power of the ninja school teachers. Mu Yue is not afraid to go to the battlefield. What he is afraid of is going to the battlefield before he has fully developed. The Third Ninja War this time is really extremely dangerous. Firstly, the 5 major ninja villages are using their wits to fight desperately, and then there are Uchiha and Heijue secretly plotting. You don't have to worry about Teacher Yushin, we are the first ninja village, and it's impossible for us teachers to all go to the battlefield. Kimura Sugi had enough confidence in Kiba. I'm not worried about going to the battlefield, I just want to ask and be prepared for the battle, Mu Yue smiled. Although I don't really want to go in my heart, I definitely can't say such words. Mu Yue stopped talking and began practicing calligraphy until the class bell rang before walking towards the annual class. Mu Yue looked inside the classroom from the door, and the dark clouds of war did not affect the children's joy. The classroom was filled with a joyful atmosphere. "Brother, how was my clever plan used? Have you already tidied up your cousin obediently?" 2 days have passed, and Yue is curious about the achievements of Gangzi Iron. "Don't mention it, brother, your plan is good, but my cousin is too cunning. After I followed your plan, he took the same action as me," Steel said with a depressed face. "At first, the effect was indeed very good, causing my cousin to be scolded by his aunt, but what he didn't expect was, he hasn't taken the next step yet, and his cousin came directly to treat him with his own way. He is a child, and his cousin is only 1 year older than him, so he can be considered a child." The final result was that the two of them were scolded and beaten each other, and in the end, they could only join forces to declare this poisonous tactic an unusable, forbidden technique. "There is such a cunning person," Yue said with some emotion. "Your cousin is really cunning, I can't think of any strategies for a moment," said Chuyun apologetically. "It's okay, brother Chuyun, you've helped me come up with several ideas. You can also talk about your troubles, and I'll help you share some of them." Gangzi Tai prepared to repay the debt. "I have a neighbor girl who I really like, but I don't know how to get closer to her," said Yu after hesitating for a moment. "It's not easy, just give her something she likes," suggested Gangzi Tai. Yu thought for a moment and found it quite reasonable. "I saw that when she passed by my house, she often looked at my flower garden. She should be quite fond of flowers, and it seems that their house doesn't have any flowers," she said, "then send the flowers. She will definitely be very grateful to you," Gangzi Tai affirmed. "Cough, start class." Mu Yue coughed lightly twice, reminding everyone that class had already begun. The originally noisy classroom suddenly quieted down, only the sound of Mu Yue's lecture. Although we only spent 4 days together, everyone really likes Mu Yue, who is a relaxed and interesting teacher who will consciously listen. Lecture completed, evaluation. A. Reward. Water escape water formation wall. Seeing the name of this ninjutsu, Mu Yue's mind flashed with intelligence about the water formation wall. This is a B.level water escape ninjutsu, which creates a water wall to block the front. It is worth mentioning that the water array wall between the gates is different from others. The water array wall between the gates directly draws a circle of 360 degrees without dead corners to protect oneself. Upon examining the sudden surge of knowledge in her mind, Mu Yue realized that she had mastered the previously unknown changes in water properties and chakra properties. Mu Yue thought about it and realized that without some knowledge of property changes, he wouldn't be able to use water escape at all. Mu Yue silently gave a thumbs up to the meticulous system. After school, Mu Yue took Jishue to a good training location she was looking for, by the small river in the forest to the south. "Hokage, you have already practiced well. Today, I will teach you a new fire escape ninjutsu," Mu Yue said of today's training plan. After speaking, Mu Yue clapped her hands and instantly opened her mouth to spit out 3 huge fire dragons. Under Mu Yue's control, the fire dragons spun in a circle in the sky and directly plunged into the water, evaporating a large amount of river water and causing the river surface to continuously roll out white water vapor. The art of dragon fire. Jishue recognized what kind of fire escape it was at a glance. He had seen Uchiha Ninja use this ninja technique before. It was precisely because she recognized it that he was even more surprised, because Mu Yue actually spit out 3 fire dragons in one breath and only got 1 seal. Jishue is becoming increasingly curious about Mu Yue's strength. "Watch it, I'll demonstrate it to you again." Mu Yue knew she had achieved the desired effect when she saw the expression on Jishue's face. "Unfortunately, my phone fell into the water. I hope it doesn't break down." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Gold Coins Burst. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Gold Coins Burst. The difficulty of this ninjutsu lies in instantly compressing a large number of chakras into the shape of a fire dragon. Mu Yue demonstrated while talking to Ji Shui about the release techniques of ninjutsu. Coincidentally, Mu Yue has recently obtained a mature level chakra form change, and she has also explained many chakra form change operations to Ji Shui. I see, I understand a bit. Ji Shui nodded and prepared to try it out. The water-stopping palm quickly dances to complete the seal, and the chakra inside the body erupts, then compresses and shapes the form. Fire escape. The art of dragon fire. Ji Shui opened his mouth and spat out a 1-meter-high dragon rushing towards the sky, spinning in a circle and diving into the water. Pop pop. Mu Yue smiled and applauded to stop the water, saying, I thought you might have to try a few times to succeed, but it seems that I underestimated your talent. Mu Yue was truly surprised. She didn't use the Sharingan to replicate, so she quickly learned AB.level ninjutsu. Is this the value of the double S talent? You taught well, teacher Mu Yue, said Ji Shui humbly. He doesn't deny that he learns things a bit faster than ordinary people, but he also really thinks that Mu Yue teaches very seriously and well. Mu Yue only used one seal during the first round of assembly, and the rest of the demonstrations were completed with a slow pace and explanation. And now it can't be said that he has learned it, it's just that he can use it. Thinking about Mu Yue's Haolong fire, Ji Shui felt that he still has a long way to go from learning it, both in terms of the size and quantity of the fire dragons. Then I'll demonstrate to you a few more times the learned technique of dragon fire, Mu Yue smiled. He was very satisfied with the modesty and diligence of Ji Shui. Looking at the rising chakra on the panel every day, he knew that Ji Shui was not idle when he went back. When serious, time always passes quickly. When Ji Shui is immersed in Mu Yue's teaching, the sky has quietly darkened. When releasing the dragon fire from the water stop, I found that the flames were particularly bright, and then I realized that it was almost dark. He couldn't help but have a wonderful idea in his heart. Is Mu Yue's gentle voice a kind of ninjutsu technique that can make people forget the passing of time? Teacher, I'm going back. Ji Shui and Mu Yue said goodbye and prepared to go home. I have recently summarized my experience of practicing chakra form changes. You can go back and read more. Mu Yue took out a booklet and handed it to Ji Shui. Ji Shui paused for a moment, then took the booklet handed over by Mu Yue and bowed in gratitude. Although she didn't say many beautiful words on her lips, Ji Shui's heart already showed even greater respect for Mu Yue. He thinks that Mu Yue is very excellent as a teacher. Although she has only known her master and disciple for 4 days, she has never left a hand behind. The more important things are, the more important they are taught to him first, and she never hides them. Looking at the figure of Ji Shui leaving, Mu Yue raised her lips and smiled, truly deserving of being his strongest gold mine and bursting with good things. You have gifted the disciples form change cultivation manual. As the disciple is very grateful for the reward of critical hits, they have obtained the ninjutsu wind escape pressure damage, mature training level. Mu Yue's mind instantly showed a large number of techniques and usage methods related to wind escape and pressure damage, as well as some knowledge about the changes in wind attribute chakra properties. Mu Yue is very satisfied with this reward. The ninjutsu of wind escape and pressure damage is very powerful, and can be considered the top type in wind escape. It has a large range and strong killing power, and can also be linked with his fire escape ninjutsu. Moreover, the changes in wind attribute properties gifted by the system are also beneficial for his development of spiral pills. Originally, he was planning to develop his own fire attribute chakra property changes for the spiral pill. Since there is wind, he must first focus on developing it on the sword in the spiral hand. After a few days of exploration, Mu Yue has probably figured out the mechanism for returning apprentices. Rewards are influenced by 2 factors. One is the quality of the gifts he gives, and the other is the degree to which the disciple is grateful for the gifts, with the latter being more important. The next day, he gave him a string of water-stopping snacks, and the system gave him 10 swords in his hand. On the 3rd day, he gave the food he had made himself to Ji Shui, and the system gave him 50 chakras. All of them are food, and on the third day, the reward was significantly better, obviously because the third day had more intention and Jishue liked it more. Having figured out the mechanism, Mu Yue started planning to make the water stop explode. He plans to check the water stop information tomorrow when he goes to school and find out which day the water stop's birthday is. The 5th day of traversing the world of Hokage. Mu Yue originally only had one class today, but there was a 3rd grade teacher in the office who had something to attend and asked someone to take over the class. Mu Yue naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity to help others. 2 classes, one earned 20 chakras and the other earned a fireball. This was the first time Mu Yue had obtained a ninjutsu that she knew, but what surprised him was that repeating the ninjutsu system directly increased her ninjutsu cultivation experience. If it's a game, it should be either a lifetime fireball or an enhanced fireball. Teacher Yushin, you're too easy to talk about. If you're like this, there will definitely be other teachers looking for you to substitute for them, said Ueda Kai with some concern. Mu Yue thought to herself that he really likes this good thing. They're all colleagues, it's okay, and I really enjoy teaching students, Mu Yue smiled. Ueda Tsai didn't know what to say for a moment, because when she looked at Mu Yue's expression, she felt that Mu Yue was truly saying that. She feels very dreamy. Is there really such a good person in the world who can substitute classes without increasing her salary? It's like working for nothing. Time quickly arrived at the weekend. Ninja school is similar to his previous life, where he attended school on Mondays and Fridays and had weekends off. Due to the previous agreement, at 8 o'clock in the morning, Mu Yue brought Dai Tu and Metkey to the place where he and Ji Shui practiced, and began their special training. Why do you have to wake up so early during the holiday? Dai Tu lay on the desk prepared by Mu Yue in advance and let out a mournful cry. Early, I think it's okay, Metkey scratched his head, unable to empathize with Dai Tu. Mu Yue sent the pre-prepared papers to the 2 of them, which she wrote according to their teaching progress. As they had only been in class for 5 days, they couldn't directly take last year's monthly exam. And for the 2 of them in this situation, Mu Yue is not prepared to let them overcome the difficulties, just take those easy points, passing is enough. Teacher Mu Yue, this is. Not long after, Jishue, who was preparing to practice, arrived. He saw Dai Tu and Kai, who were struggling to make papers, with a puzzled expression on their faces. They are 4th grade students, and I am tutoring them. It's okay for you to cultivate your skills, explained Mu Yue. It's not a coincidence that the water stopped coming, it was him who called last night. As for the purpose, Mu Yue thinks that it would be very interesting for senior students to work on boring papers while watching younger students practice ninjutsu. Everyone, give me some feedback, otherwise I would have thought we were on a single machine. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Surprise with Soil. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Surprise with Soil. Dai Tu, who was working on the question, couldn't help but lift his head when he heard the conversation between the 2 and then froze. He recognized the water stop. The Uchiha clan lives together, all living in the tribal areas divided by Mai, so people of the same generation know each other to some extent. After all, they all belong to the same family, and we have never met or heard of them before. For example, geniuses like Jishue often appear in the mouths of parents as children of other families, making it difficult to know them or not. Dai Tu felt a bit puzzled as to why Jishue appeared here and seemed to be very familiar with Mu Yue. Is Teacher Yushin a distant relative of Jishue? Dai Tu had an unreliable guess in his mind. Teacher, I'm done. As he was daydreaming in his mind, Metkey next to him suddenly let out a shout full of anger. So fast. With a hint of confusion, he remembered that he hadn't stopped for long. Why suddenly Metkey said it was done. Curious with Soil, the probe looked around and saw that Metkey had completed the first 3 multiple-choice questions, leaving everything else empty. Dai Tu didn't know what to say for a while, because the entire paper only had 10 questions, with 4 options and 6 answers. Although he doesn't know how to do many questions, he would choose to fill the exam paper a bit to make it look better. Upon hearing Metkey's words, Mu Yue walked over and helped Metkey check right and wrong. There were 2 mistakes, and only the first question was correct. Sorry teacher, Metkey looked at Wei San's question and made 2 more mistakes, feeling a bit unsure of what to say for a moment. It's okay, it's normal if I don't know. If I do, I don't need to teach, Mu Yue comforted with a smile. Don't just think about it because your score is low. You can look at it from a different perspective. There is a lot of room for improvement. After all, it is definitely much easier to progress from 5 points to 20.5 points than from 80 to 100 points. Upon hearing Mu Yue's words, Metkey's body shook and he, who had been treated as a crane tail and then released, received encouragement for the first time besides his father. Teacher, you're right. I have a lot of room for improvement. Metkey's momentum instantly increased. Next, Mu Yue listened attentively to Metkey's explanation. Even if it was difficult to understand, he made an effort to understand. The next step is to fill in 6 questions with soil, but only 2 of them were correct. Mu Yue treated Metkey the same way, comforting first and then discussing the topic. After speaking, Mu Yue took out 2 papers of the same type and handed them over to the 2 of them. We still need to do it. Dai Tu couldn't move his eyes as he started practicing the fire escape technique. The art of escaping fireball. The seal quickly formed and a 2-meter-high fireball flew towards the river. Looking at the huge fireball, Dai Tu felt very convinced and truly believed that he was a famous genius in his clan. As Uchiha, he also knows the classic ninjutsu of Hokkaido. But his grand fireball, in terms of size and prestige, can only be considered a small fireball compared to the water stop. Are you another genius like Kakashi? Although Metkey on the side did not know Jishue, he was at most 6 or 7 years old when he saw his figure and appearance. He was surprised to be able to use such powerful ninjutsu. This reminded Metkey of the Kakashi whom he had identified as his archenemy. The ninja school is a 3-semester system, with the first semester from April to July, followed by summer vacation, and the second semester from September to December, followed by winter vacation. After the winter vacation, it is the 3rd semester. And Kakashi didn't finish his 2nd semester, so he applied for early graduation and passed it. His level of genius can be imagined. And at this moment, the feeling that stopping water gives to Metkey is that of Kakashi, who is of the same age. Immediately after, stop water and start practicing the technique of dragon fire. Seeing that Jishue could even learn other martial arts, Metkey was even more surprised because he had practiced the 3-body technique taught in school for 3 years and felt like he was struggling to learn it. Watching Jishue control the dragon flying in the sky, Dai Tu was also envious in her heart. If he knew how to do this too, it would definitely make Lin stand up and take notice. It can be seen that there has been great progress in terms of form changes compared to the first time, and the speed of the fire dragon has been faster. I didn't practice less when I went back yesterday, did I? Mu Yue commented and praised. The main thing is that your cultivation manual, Teacher Mu Yue, has been very helpful to me. Upon hearing Mu Yue's praise, Jishue smiled and then said, Let me demonstrate it to you again. Mu Yue walked to the front of the water stop, slapped her hands, and her chakra quickly gathered and compressed inside her body. In an instant, she opened her mouth and spit out 3 huge fire dragons. Looking at the 3 huge fiery dragons burning fiercely and ferociously, Tu looked a bit dumbfounded. The last second he thought the stagnant dragon fire was very handsome, but after Mu Yue's dragon fire came out, his opinion changed. The 2 of them don't seem to be using a ninjutsu technique. The fire dragon released by stopping water and the one released by Mu Yue are simply the difference between snakes and loaches, and why is the speed too fast? It feels like there is no seal. 3 giant fire dragons flew rapidly in the sky, leaving behind lines of flames in their flight paths, ultimately forming several large characters in the air. "Don't look, hurry up and do the exercises." Dai Tu read out the words in the sky and then noticed Mu Yue looking at him with a humorous smile on his face. Dai Tu was instantly startled and then explained. "I'm just tired from doing it and looking at the sky for a while." He looked at Metkey with his spare light and found that Metkey, who had been watching with him, had already picked up his pen to do the problem in an instant and reacted very quickly. "Have you seen enough now?" Mu Yue asked. I've read enough." Dai Tu quickly picked up his pen and started working on the problem. After doing the question for a while, Dai Tu couldn't help but stop writing and ask, "Teacher Yushin, what is your relationship with Jishui? What do you think is the relationship between the teacher and the disciple?" Mu Yue glanced at Metkei's paper and answered. "Hehe, I also feel like a master apprentice." Dai Tu didn't reveal his unreliable conjecture at the beginning. "Teacher Yushin, if I pass the exam, can you teach me the ninjutsu you just used?" Dai Tu continued. He had already started to imagine how to show off his new ninjutsu to Noera Rin, in other words, he was preparing to open champagne. "Of course," Mu Yue nodded. "Really?" With a surprised expression on his face. "Really, Teacher Yushin, what physical skills have you mastered?" Metkey looked at Mu Yue with an expectant expression. Although he also thinks that Mu Yue, who releases the dragon fire technique, is very handsome, Metkei's goal is clear, he only practices physical skills. Mu Yue didn't speak, but walked up to a big tree, gathered Chakra on her feet, her muscles tense, and then kicked out the whirlwind leg at an extremely fast speed. With a loud bang, the big tree quickly fell to the ground, stirring up a burst of dust. "Do you like this physical technique?" Mu Yue stopped and patted the dust, smiling as she looked at Metkey. End of this chapter. Chapter 10 Mu Yue. Yes, you have made a fortune. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Mu Yue. Yes, you have made a fortune. Looking at Mu Yue's incredibly fast and clean whirlwind legs, Metkei's eyes lit up instantly, feeling as if he had encountered the dream romance technique, satisfying all his fantasies about the physical technique. Simple, fast, powerful, and also very handsome. I like it, please make sure to teach this when the time comes. Metkey expressed his satisfaction with the wooden leaf whirlwind with great momentum. It's good if you like it, Mu Yue smiled and nodded. Metkei's reaction was expected by him. After all, this physical spell was developed by Metkei himself in the future, and he also developed a whole series, such as the Great Whirlwind, Gang Whirlwind, and various wood leaf whirlwinds. It's strange that he doesn't like them. With Mu Yue's assurance, Dai Tu and Metkei were both very happy, and looking at the exam papers that usually cause headaches, they felt a lot of satisfaction. Look at me with full firepower, I must be targeting 4 or more this time. Dai Tu was so excited that he rubbed his hands and thought he was going to fight. Be sure to focus on 3 or more, otherwise run 500 laps around the wooden leaves tonight. Metkei also used self-restraint to learn the technique of dream romance. After he plans to learn this physical skill, he will go to Kakashi to try it out and see how much his strength has improved. But the sudden enthusiasm dissipated quickly, and after doing a few questions, Dai Tu understood a truth. If he is pushed too hard, he may be able to release a larger fireball or throw 5 swords into the bullseye in one go, but the only thing he can do is to solve the problem. He propped his head with his hand, while the other hand kept playing with the pen in various postures. Under his restlessness, he couldn't even look at the swaying green leaves in the wind, feeling like he was mocking himself for not being able to solve the problem. Dai Tu couldn't help but look at Metkei next to him. Although we have been classmates for over 3 years and have a common friend named Kakashi, they have never actually played together and their relationship is very ordinary. I am not a stranger, but I cannot be called a friend. I can only say that I am a friend of a friend and happen to be a classmate. When he thought of Metkey, his first reaction was the tail of the crane. Although he is also known as the tail of a crane, Daitu believes that he is just a bit biased. He is good at throwing swords in his ninjutsu, but his theory is particularly poor. But all the other Uchiha is too talented, excelling in every course, making his imperfect Uchiha seem like a crane tail. But Metkey is different. Metkey is not good at theory, nor is he good at ninjutsu. Most courses are countdown, and he is recognized as a crane tail. But at this moment, Metkey showed better patience than him. Even though he was already scratching his ears and cheeks, Metkey was still seriously tackling the problem. Daitu thought of the ambitious words spoken by Metkey once when he was mocked. I believe that with such hard work, one can definitely become the strongest physical ninja. Although Daitu was not one of the mockers, when he heard these words, he didn't think much of it, and didn't think that Metkey could become the so-called strongest physique. But now his thoughts have changed a bit. It's hard to say if he can become the strongest physical ninja, but he should be much stronger than those who mock Metkey. It might be nice to be friends with him, murmured the soil, so they could deal with that despicable Kakashi together. Watching Metkey keep doing the exercises, Daitu also began to write vigorously, racking his brains to think. Watching this scene, Mu Yue showed a thoughtful expression. He didn't expect these two people to have such a chemical reaction when they were together. Even the restless Daitu was affected and could calm down to do the exercises. In the future, similar methods can be used to stimulate cultivation with soil. After the two of them finished their work, Mu Yue helped them grade it. Daitu corrected 3, and Metkey corrected 2. Alas, there are still less than 4, we've done our best. Daitu lay on the table with a burnt-out expression. Run 500 laps at night. Metkey added the punishment of failure to his exercise plan. Mu Yue comforted and said, you are only 5 questions away from passing the exam, and you only improved 1 question in an hour. Isn't that much better when you think about it? After thinking about it, it seems like this truth. Passing the exam and ninjutsu are right in front of me. After comforting her, Mu Yue smiled and took out 2 test papers again. Looking at the brand new test paper on the table with dirt, and thinking about the 3 weekends before the exam, my eyes couldn't help but darken. But he could only pick up a pen and continue to work hard, because giving up now would not be wasting the previous paper. At this moment, after restoring Chakra's water stop, another wave of fire escape practice began, with fire dragons constantly dancing in the sky, attracting the attention of the earth. Teacher Yushin, after learning your ninjutsu, are we considered your disciples just like Jishue? Daitu thought for a moment and asked. If you want, that's it, Mu Yue replied ambiguously. He, since we will all be disciples sooner or later, why don't you teach us now, teacher? With Tu Quan Jian, he revealed his own purpose. Mu Yue cast a skeptical gaze. Although this was the result of his deliberate layout, your map of Yen Kingdom is too short, isn't it? Teacher Mu Yue, it's definitely not that I don't want to stop learning, but I think these two can be done together, she promised, patting her chest with soil. After finishing speaking with soil, he pulled at Metkey next to him and said. Kai, are you saying so? Teacher, I think what Daitu said is quite right. Metkey also wanted to learn about Konoha Tornado earlier so that he could compete with Kakashi. What if you fail by then? Mu Yue didn't rush to agree, but asked in reverse. I'll do whatever you say, teacher, and I'll listen to you. Daitu still has great confidence in passing. I'm the same, Metkey nodded and added 1. So. Mu Yue showed a puzzled expression, as if hesitating for something. Teacher Mu Yue, just trust me. I will definitely study hard with you and not embarrass you, Daitu quickly continued. Me too, Metkey also clenched his fists and promised. Okay, I believe you can keep your promises. Once you finish this paper, I'll teach you the art of dragon fire and the wood leaf whirlwind. Mu Yue looked convinced. Great, I knew you were the best, teacher Mu Yue. I will definitely not disappoint your trust, said Tu excitedly. He felt in his heart that today was really his lucky day. He improved his theoretical grades, and even became a skilled teacher in vain, earning a lot of money. Teacher Mu Yue, I will definitely work hard to cultivate your physical skills. Metkey said seriously. He also felt lucky today to have someone willing to become his teacher and teach him physical fitness. Whether to establish a master-apprentice relationship with Bo and 2, whether to establish a master-apprentice relationship with Metkey, looking at the two pop-up windows, Mu Yue smiled with satisfaction and said, yes, you've made a lot of money. End of this chapter.